Hi everyone, welcome to the Quipster Film Review Podcast. My name is Vince Leo, I'm the author of the film review website Quipster.net. You can find all of my written reviews at my website anytime. Quipster.net is where to go, QWIPSTER.net. Today I'm going to be looking at Get Out. It's a comedy, primarily horror film as well, R-rated because of violence, bloody images, and language including sexual references. The runtime is an hour and 43 minutes. The main stars are Daniel Kaluuya and Allison Williams, with supporting roles for Bradley Whitford, Catherine Keener, Lil Rel Howery, Caleb Landry Jones, and quite a few others. Jordan Peele is the writer and director, and Jordan Peele is known as a funny man. He's, of course, of TV's Key and Peele, the sketch comedy television show that was a hit for a few years. This is his feature film directorial debut, and from what I see here, I do think that he has quite an eye for filmmaking. This one is a comedy that's crafted with horror movie leanings, along with elements of science fiction and thrillers to boot, and I do think that he's successful at all of those. And it's also a subversion of all of these genres, so that makes it very interesting as well. This is a movie that's not built on scares so much as tapping into the unsettling, eerie feeling of being a black man traversing within a white world. And that's especially true when that black man's involved with a white woman romantically. This is a premise that initially recalls Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Daniel Kaluuya is the star. He plays photographer Chris Washington. He's this young African-American who's involved in this close relationship with the white woman named Rose Armitage. And they've grown so close in the last few months that it's time for Chris to meet Rose's parents. Chris is nervous about their weekend retreat to Rose's family's lake house because Rose has not told them that he's black because, well, it doesn't matter to her, and she feels her liberal parents should be all for it, she gathers. While that seems fine, Chris undergoes a share of microagressions, assumptions, and patronizations when he actually does meet the family because he's a black man, and things only get worse when he's involuntarily hypnotized by Rose's mother, Missy, played by Catherine Keener. She's a hypnotherapist out to cure him of his smoking habit, and that really unsettles him after that. And from there, more of Rose's family gathers for an annual party at this estate, and that further compounds Chris's issues in being slighted due to his race, while the black hired help around the house seem to adopt an aggressive stance toward him and his relationship with Rose. For a horror movie, the scares are not abundant, so take that into consideration before you go see Get Out, but it is creepy, it is discomforting nonetheless. There are seemingly benign comments that the white characters make, presumably to show the black guy that they're hip and non-racist, with one character relating how he would have voted for Obama if he could have run for a third term, and there's another character that talks about his golf game and proudly extols knowing Tiger Woods and his virtues, and there are more insulting slights, such as a traffic cop that asks to see Chris's license, even though he's just a passenger in a car involved in an accident where they weren't even at fault. Rose's brother, on the other hand, seems to want to match himself up in a fight with Chris, even though he has no aggression in him at all. There are stereotypical so-called compliments about Chris's genetic makeup being a blessing, as well as certain pieces of his anatomy seem fodder for public statement. And then there are the more menacing stares, particularly from the other black characters in the film who either seem disapproving of Chris and his relationship, or perhaps even his preferential treatment among this white family. Jordan Peele, mostly known for delivering sketch comedy concepts that amuse for a few minutes at a time, which worked well with his previous screenwriting effort in Keanu, he manages to flesh out this film into a full arc. It does become uneven every now and then, sometimes for prolonged periods, especially as it becomes more of a horror show for the final third, but the highs compensate for those lulls quite well, enough to keep Get Out together in terms of intrigue on how it's all going to shake out. Scene stealer Lil Rel Howery gets the film's biggest laughs as Chris's best friend, who's an officer in the TSA named Rod, who thinks all of what he hears about Chris's involvement with Rose is weird and it's scary, and he posits that black people traversing through white neighborhoods is just as fear-inducing as what white people often feel when traveling through a black neighborhood. The distinction, of course, is that the latter is often an irrational fear for people they don't understand, while the former is a reaction to those who have an irrational fear of people who fear what they don't understand. Now, though horror aficionados may feel like the scares are too mild to give them the thrill they're seeking, for those viewers who don't mind the Twilight Zone-esque trip to another dimension, there's plenty here to tantalize, especially with the underlying freaky events born from the horrific indignities suffered by African Americans milling about white society. From insulting conversations from the self-congratulating white liberals who also can't seem to see black people beyond their race, to the fear of becoming so-called whitewashed to remove any trace of black identity in an attempt to assimilate to Caucasian society, Jordan Peele is not afraid to peek in some of those dark recesses of the subconscious and pull out all of those things to peruse and comment upon afterward. This is a snappy satire that puts its mirror to all of us and asks even so-called enlightened whites to see through black eyes how they're behaving with wit and precision, and it makes for an applause-worthy debut for Jordan Peele as a filmmaker who's capable of more than just funny impressions and sketch ideas. I'm giving Get Out 3.5 stars. It's quite a surprise for me this year. I didn't think that this was going to be a very good movie based on the trailer, but it actually ended up being 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, nothing to sneeze at. 3.5 stars for Get Out, which means I think it's a good movie and worth going out of your way to see if my description of it sounds at all appealing to you. Thanks everyone for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, please go to my website, quipster.net, and find more of my written reviews. And if you want more of my podcasting work, you can listen to the In Session Film podcast. Go to insessionfilm.com for more details on that. Thanks everyone. Until next time, please enjoy your time anytime you get to go to the movies.